After the Order of Melchisedec, by Robert W. Norwood. LibriVox.org, by Larry Wilson. I am a priest upon whose head God long ago poured holy oil. He gave me a word and said, "With this thou shalt mankind assoil." Since I went forth God to obey, life has revealed me many things. I find it very hard to say what is most dear, the task that brings bread to the eater, or the rest that follows toil. The love of friends, of books, of song, each is most blessed, and always with contentment blends. A stone, a faggot, or a flower, a bird in rapture of its flight, December snow or April's shower, the velvet vastness of the night. When Mother Moon has left the stars and with the winds gone gossiping, or leans upon the gate that bars dawn from untimely entering, these hold for me unending charm, fill me with wonderment and awe that men should ever think of harm, fencing their lives about with law. The world is such a lovely place, a jeweled pendant on love's chain. I marvel that a human face should pale with anger or with pain. I marvel at the cry for bread that thunders round the waking world, the tumult of the legion's tread that shakes the earth as souls are hurled in battle to destroy the souls God grew in His great garden, when He won past all His other goals, triumphant at the birth of men. Who can behold the dance of dawn, juggling with stars like tinselled balls, vestured in mantle of a wan white glory, whose dim splendor falls upon the mountains, and not feel himself transcendent? Who can hear clangor of wild birds and the peal of mountain bells across the clear blue sky, commingling with the shout of children on their way to school, and fail at once to be about God's business? As within a pool you are reflected, nature shows the miracle of what you are, the highest that creation knows, Lord of the earth and every star. I am a priest upon whose head God long ago poured holy oil. He gave me a word and said, "With this thou shalt mankind assoil." I come from out the holy place with benediction for the earth, to wipe the tears from every face and tell the fallen one his worth. My business is to be a priest whose holy task is to forgive, to bid the beggar to the feast, to touch the dead and make them live. I know not any fear of thrones, nor claim of scribe and Pharisee. My word is set to many tones of lute and harp and psaltery. I have no temple and no creed. I celebrate no mystic rite. The human heart is all I need, wherein I worship day and night. The human heart is all I need, for I have found God ever there. Love is the one sufficient creed, and comradeship the purest prayer. I bow not down to any book, no written page holds me in awe, for when on one friend's face I look, I read the prophets and the law. I need no fountain filled with blood to cleanse my soul from mortal sin, for love is an unbounded flood, freely I go to wash therein. Love laughs at boundaries of wrath and is as infinite as God, breaks down each wall, finds out each path where wilful straying feet have trod. Love is the word God gave and said, "With it thou shalt mankind assoil." Then forthwith poured upon my head anointing of His holy oil. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
After Rain by Archibald Lampman. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. For 3 whole days across the sky, in sullen packs that loomed and broke, with flying fringes dim as smoke, the columns of the rain went by. At every hour the wind awoke, the darkness passed upon the plain, the great drops rattled at the pane. Now piped the wind, or far aloof fell to a sough remote and dull, and all night long with rush and lull the rain kept drumming on the roof. I heard till ear and sense were full the clash or silence of the leaves, the gurgle in the creaking eaves. But when the 4th day came, at noon the darkness and the rain were by, the sunward roofs were steaming dry, and all the world was flecked and strewn with shadows from a fleecy sky. The haymakers were forth and gone, and every rillet laughed and shone. Then too on me, that loved so well the world, despairing in her blight, uplifted with her least delight, on me, as on the earth, there fell new happiness of mirth and might. I strode the valleys pied and still, I climbed upon the breezy hill. I watched the grey hawk wheel and drop, sole shadow on the shining world. I saw the mountains clothed and curled with forest ruffling to the top. I saw the river's length unfurled, pale silver down the fruited plain, grown great and stately with the rain. Through miles of shadow and soft heat, where field and fallow, fence and tree were all one world of greenery, I heard the robin ringing sweet, the sparrow piping silverly, the thrushes at the forest's hem, and as I went I sang with them. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
An Autumn Rain Scene by Thomas Hardy. Read for LibriVox.org by Peter Thomlinson. There trudges one to a merrymaking with sturdy swing, on whom the rain comes down. To fetch the saving medicament is another bent, on whom the rain comes down. One slowly drives his herd to the stall, ere ill befall, on whom the rain comes down. This bears his missives of life and death, with quickening breath, on whom the rain comes down. One watches for signals of wreck or war from the hills afar, on whom the rain comes down. No care if he gain a shelter or none, unhired moves on whom the rain comes down. And another knows naught of its chilling fall upon him at all, on whom the rain comes down. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Brother Beast by Cale Young Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Nemo. Brother Beast. Winter is here, and there are no leaves on the naked trees, save stars twinkling as the wind blows. Soft to the branches the little screech owl silently comes, silently goes, with weird tremolos. I would go out and gather the stars the wind shakes down, were they not scattered so far in the west. I would go ask the little screech owl if he finds ease there in his nest after his quest. I would go learn if the small gray mouse who sets up house in the frozen meadow dreams of the stars, or what he thinks there in the dark when flake on flake of white snow bars him in with its bars. I would go out and learn these things, that I may know what dream or desire troubles my brothers in nest or hole. For even as I, the owl and the mouse, or blinded mole with unborn soul, may have some goal. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Character by William Wordsworth, read for LibriVox.org by Bill Jones. I marvel how nature could ever find space for so many strange contrasts in one human face. There's thought and no thought, and there's paleness and bloom, and bustle and sluggishness, pleasure and gloom. There's weakness and strength, both redundant and vain, such strength as, if ever affliction and pain could pierce through a temper that's soft to disease, would be rational peace, a philosopher's ease. There's indifference, alike when he fails or succeeds, and attention full 10 times as much as their needs. Pride where there's no envy, there's so much joy, and mildness and spirit, both forward and coy. There's freedom, and sometimes a diffident stare of shame, scarcely seeming to know that she's there. There's virtue, the title it surely may claim, yet knows heaven knows what to be worthy the name. This picture from nature may seem to depart, yet the man would at once run away with your heart. And I for 5 centuries right gladly would be such an odd, such a kind, happy creature as he. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Read for LibriVox.org by Farnood Jahangiri. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward, all in the valley of death, rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade, charge with the guns, he said, into the valley of death, rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade, was there a man dismayed? Not, though the soldiers knew someone had blundered. There was not to make reply, there was not to reason why, theirs was but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon in front of them, volleyed and thundered. Stormed at with shot and shell, boldly they rode and well, into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell, rode the 600. Flashed all their sabres bare, flashed as they turned in air, sabring the gunners there, charging an army wild, all the world wondered, plunging in the battery smoke, right through the line they broke, Cossack and Russian, reeled from the sabre stroke, shattered and sundered. Then they rode back, but not that 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon in front of them, volleyed and thundered, stormed at with shot and shell, while horse and hero fell. They that fought so well came through the jaws of death, back from the mouth of hell. All that was left of them, left of the 600. When can their glory fail? Oh, the wild charge they made, all the world wondered. Honor the charge they made, honor the Light Brigade, noble 600. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Dedication from Faust, a Tragedy by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Translated by Charles Timothy Brooks. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. Dedication. Once more you waver dreamily before me, forms that so early cheered my troubled eyes. To hold you fast doth still my heart implore me, still bid me clutch the charm that lures and flies. Ye crowd around, come then, hold empire over me, as from the mist and haze of thought you rise. The magic atmosphere, your train enwreathing, through my thrilled bosom, youthful bliss is breathing. Ye bring with you the forms of hours Elysian, and shades of dear ones rise to meet my gaze. First love and friendship steal upon my vision, like an old tale of legendary days. Sorrow renewed in mournful repetition runs through life's devious labyrinthine ways, and sighing names the good, by fortune cheated, of blissful hours who have before me fleeted. These later songs of mine, alas, will never sound in their ears to whom the first were sung. Scattered like dust, the friendly throng forever, mute the first echo that so grateful rung. To the strange crowd I sing, whose very favor like chilling sadness on my heart is flung, and all that kindled at those earlier numbers roams the wide earth or in its bosom slumbers. And now I feel a long unwonted yearning for that calm, pensive spirit realm to day. Like an Aeolian lyre, the breeze returning, floats in uncertain tones my lisping lay. Strange awe comes over me, tear on tear falls burning, the rigid heart to milder mood gives way. What I possess I see afar off lying, and what I lost is real and undying. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Deliverance by Cale Young Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Nemo. Deliverance at the moment of the Russian Revolution. Give up your dead. The cry came to prison and mine and quarry. Give up your living dead to life again. And all Siberia, lying under a night numbly starry, awoke out of her sleep, awoke as at the spring thaw, and quivered and was delivered of 100,000 men. Out of her wombs of torture, grief, and goaded degradation, out of her fields of exile and despair, they came, those who had dreamed the dreams of freedom for a nation, those who had dared to speak, timid or brave or blood wild, of a new birth, a new earth, a Russia risen fair. The young came, old with the mar and misery of waiting. The old came, withered and bent and dumb, broken of mind, broken of heart, broken of all but hating, back to the love of the sun, to hope so long undone, or hope of hope in the better days of healing years to come. The pity of it, the glory, oh, the partings and the meetings! Russia again is reached across their woes. Kisses are given with the pangs of long forgotten heart beatings, wherein words fail to tell the horror's tale, or tell it over and over without peace to its close. Never was such a birth of the dead back to the living. O freedom, midwife of the world's desire, be with all lands that need you in their hours of birth giving, and lend deliverance as great against mischance to every noble issue pity and progress seek to sire. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Door Stands Wide Open by Hugh Black, 1868 to 1953. Read for LibriVox.org. A fire mist and a planet, a crystal and a cell, a jellyfish and a saurian, and caves where the cavemen dwell. Then a sense of law and beauty, and a face turned from the clod. Some call it evolution, and others call it God. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Endless Lament by John Gould Fletcher. Read for LibriVox.org by Richard Scott. Spring rain falls through the cherry blossom in long blue shafts, on grasses strewn with delicate stars. The summer rain sifts through the drooping willow, shatters the courtyard, leaving gray pools. The autumn rain drives through the maples, scarlet threads of sorrow towards the snowy earth. Would that the rains of all the winters might wash away my grief. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Epilogue to a Judgement in Heaven by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Virtue may unlock hell, or even a sin turn in the wards of heaven, as ethics of the textbook go. so little men in their own deeds know, or through the intricate melee guess whitherward draws the battle sway, so little, if they know the deed, discern what therefrom shall succeed. To wisest moralists 'tis but given to work rough border law of heaven within this narrow life of ours, these marches 'twixt delimitless powers. Is it, if heaven the future showed, is it the all-severest mode to see ourselves with the eyes of God? God rather grant, at his assize, he see us not with our own eyes. Heaven, which man's generations draws, nor deviates into replicas, must of as deep diversity in judgment as creation be. There is no expeditious road to pack and label men for God and save them by the barrel load. Some may, perchance, with strange surprise, have blundered into paradise. In vasty dusk of life abroad, they fondly thought to err from God, nor knew the circle that they trod, and wandering all the night about, found them at morn where they set out. Death dawned. Heaven lay in prospect wide. Lo! They were standing by his side. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Grace of the Way by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Kachuk. The windy trammel of her dress, her blown locks, took my soul in mesh. God's breath, they spake, with visibleness that stirred the raiment of her flesh. And sensible as her blown locks were, beyond the precincts of her form, I felt the woman flow from her, a calm of intempestuous storm. I failed against the affluent tide. Out of this abject earth of me I was translated and enskied into the heavenly regioned she. Now of that vision I bereaven this knowledge keep, that may not dim. Short arm needs man to reach to heaven, so ready is heaven to stoop to him, which sets to measure of man's feet no alien tree for trysting place. And who can read may read the sweet direction in his lady's face. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Hail Coffee by Jacques Delis. Read for LibriVox.org by April 6090, California, United States of America. Hail Coffee! Coffee affords a good restoring draught, which clears the fumes of wine too freely quaffed. By her you gain, when you the table quit, a calm more courteous and a brighter wit. And soon recovered by her powerful aid, you are not of a second feast afraid. She by the god of verse is praised and loved. The poet's genius is by her improved. Your frigid rimmers, if at times inspired, write their best lines by coffee's fragrance fired. She can enliven philosophic plan, and make an analyst a pleasant man. Statesmen, through her, well feasted and content, form happy schemes of better government. Knowledge sometimes to journalists she brings, of court intrigues and deep designs of kings. Peace, truces, wars, she to his dreams can show, and lets him for threepence the world o'erthrow. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Half-Breed by Cale Young Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by Nemo. The Half-Breed. Let me go back again, for want of it comes over me, back to the wilds of Pima and waste of Maricopa. There with desert under me, and desert night to cover me, night with the cactus stars to prick and spur me on. Let me by my tribe stray, a far-ranging rover be, with no pale-faced lodges between me and the dawn. Let me go back again, for Yaqui blood awakes in me. Let me, free of tethering, of toil and creed and cavil, out with a coyote go, for now his crying aches in me. Out across the mesa that knows but hunger law, out with the winds to walk, till every bondage breaks in me, till the red blood in me, the white begins to thaw. Let me go back again, for souls of little use to me, soul and smoky hoping for hunting grounds immortal. From their blind stringent strife they never grant a truce to me, never send a pause hour to string the beads of peace, never let the trail end, with time and teepee loose to me, never let tomorrow, unborn and troubling, cease. Let me go back then, for cities can but sicken me, soiling and eclipsing sun, moon, and all the seasons. Let me go where silence is, and savage, loneless quicken me, even as the void waste no foot has ever trod. Let me go where primal thirst thew my heart and thicken me, 'gainst the throes of thinking, 'gainst the goads of God. End a poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Hope is the Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Read for LibriVox.org by Ian King. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Horses by Widder Biner. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. Words are hoops through which to leap upon meanings which our horses' backs bear, moving. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
In Praise of Little People by Carlo Innocenzo Fergoni. Read for LibriVox.org by April 6090, California, United States of America. In praise of small people. Little people, hear my song. In your praise I'm very strong. Great people, go along. In the first place, you're best made. That's a truth can't be gainsaid. And if it should be, who's afraid? Beauty shows most art and grace when she works in little space. 'Tis her most praiseworthy case. For the force you see compressed is forced to do its very best, and so it's famed from east to west. As to folk that threat the skies, I never could, for all their size, see whereabouts their merit lies. Their makes all anti-symmetry, all legs and arms, and grant they be handsome in face, what's that, per se? They look like steeples, more extensive than of brain-pan comprehensive. Their clothing must be quite expensive. And then their riding, dancing. Oh, for my part I should like to know how ever they could be the go. Now, your small man does all smugly, fits in every corner snugly, and if he's ugly, he's less ugly. In peril, who comes off so clean? In a fight, who more serene? Besides, he's very little seen. Oh, littleness gives half their worth to the rarest things on earth. Pearls are ocean's prettiest birth, but the big are rocks. To spy 'em makes the bravest that go nigh 'em pale to think of passing by 'em. Oranges are but small trees, yet in pots, lo, how they please! They're the garden's protégés. But your mountain pines, that throw one at such distance, who would grow one to adorn his window? No one. Lastly, mastiffs, see how they, being big, must slink away, or at best fill kennels, eh? While your lapdog, who refuses to be larger than grace chooses, all in ladies' linen snoozes. Little people, one and all, see if now your praise sings small. See if now ye mind the tall. To such reasons cut and dry, let their heads be ne'er so high. What can they possibly reply? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Inversnaid by Gerard Manley Hopkins, read for LibriVox.org by Patrick Wallace. This darksome burn, horseback brown, his rollrock highroad roaring down, in coop and in comb the fleece of his foam flutes, and low to the lake falls home. A wind-puff bonnet of fawn froth turns and twindles over the broth of a pool so pitch-black, fell frowning, it rounds and rounds despair to drowning. Decked with dew, dappled with dew, are the groins of the braes that the brook treads through. Wiry heath-packs, flitches of fern, and the bead-bonny ash that sits over the burn. What would the world be, once bereft of wet and of wildness? Let them be left, oh, let them be left, wildness and wet. Long live the weeds and the wilderness yet. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Invictus by William Ernest Henley, read for LibriVox.org by Kelly Selinger. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth, read for LibriVox.org by Caroline Sylvia. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake beneath the trees fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jostling company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude, and then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Literary Lady by Richard Brinsley Sheridan, read for LibriVox.org by April 9060, California, United States of America. What motley cares Carilla's mind perplex, whom maids and metaphors conspire to vex? In studious dishabille behold her sit, a lettered gossip and a household wit, at once invoking, though for different views, her gods, her cook, her milliner, and muse. Round her strewed room a frippery chaos lies, a checkered wreck of notable and wise. Bills, books, caps, couplets, combs, a varied mass, oppress the toilet and obscure the glass. Unfinished here an epigram is laid, and there a mantua-maker's bill unpaid. There new-born plays foretaste the town's applause, there dormant patterns pine for future gauze. A moral essay now is all her care, a satire next, and then a bill of fare. A scene she now projects, and now a dish. Here act the first, and here remove with fish. Now, while this eye in a fine frenzy rolls, that soberly casts up a bill of coals. Black pins and daggers in one leaf she sticks, and tears and threads and bowls and thimbles mix. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Lo, the Press Agent by Walter J. Kingsley. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Peter. By many names men call me. Press agent, publicity promoter, faker. Ofttimes a short and simple liar. Charles A. Dana told me I was a buccaneer on the high seas of journalism. Many a newspaper business manager has charged me with selling his space over his head. Everyone loves me when I get his name into print, for this is an age of publicity, and he who bloweth not his own horn, the same shall not be blown. I have sired, nursed, and reared many reputations. Few men or women have I found scornful of praise or blame in the press. The folk of the stage live on publicity, yet to the world they pretend to dislike it, though wildly to me they plead for it, cry for it, ofttimes do that for it, which must make the god Notoriety grin at the weakness of mortals. I hold a terrible power, and sometimes my own moderation amazes me, for I can abase as well as elevate, tear down as well as build up. I know all the ways of fair speaking, and can lead my favourites to fame and golden rewards. There are 1,000 channels through which press agency can exploit its star or its movement, never obvious but like the submarine submersible beneath the sea of publicity. But I know too of the ways that undo in Manhattan. There are bacilli of rumour that slip through the finest of filters and defy the remedial serums of angry denial. Pin a laugh to your tale, and not your exile nor your death will stay the guffaws of merriment as the story flies through the wicked 40s and on to the road. Laughter gives the rumour strong wings. Truly the press agent, who knows his psychology, likewise his New York in all of its ramifications, and has a nimble wit, can play fast and loose with the lives of many. Nevertheless he has no great reward, and most in the theatre draw fatter returns than he. Yet is he called upon to make the show, to save the show, but never is he given credit comparable to that which falls upon the slightest jester or singer or dancer who mugs, mimes, or hoofs in a hit. Yet is the press agent happy. He loves his work. It has excitement and intrigue, and to further the cause of beautiful women, to discover the wonderful girls of the theatre, and lead them in progress triumphal till their names outface the jealous night, on Broadway, in incandescence, is in itself a privilege that compensates for the wisdom of the cub reporter, the amusement of the seasoned editor, shredding the cherished story and uprooting the flourishing plant. Makes one forgive the ingratitude of artists arrived. They who do not love me, I hope to have fear me. There is only one hell, and that is to be disregarded. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. by T.S. Eliot. Read for LibriVox.org by Farnood. Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky, like a patient etherized upon a table. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells, streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent, to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit. In the room the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. The yellow fog that drops its back upon the window panes, the yellow smoke that drops its muzzle on the window panes, licks its tongue into the corners of the evening, lingered upon the pools that stand in drains, that fall upon its back the soot that falls from chimneys, slipped by the trace, made a sudden leap, and seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once about the house and fell asleep. And indeed there will be time for the yellow smoke that slides along the streets, rubbing its back upon the window panes. There will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. There will be time to murder and create, and time for all the works and days of hand that lift and drop the question on your plate. Time for you and time for me, and time yet for 100 indecisions, and for 100 visions and revisions before the taking of a toast and tea. In the room the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. And indeed there will be time to wonder, do I dare, and do I dare? Time to turn back and descend the stair, with a bald spot in the middle of my hair. They will say, how his hair is growing thin. My morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to the chin, my necktie rich and modest but asserted by a simple pin. They will say, but how his arms and legs are thin. Do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute there is time for decisions and revisions which a minute will reverse. For I have known them all already, known them all. Have known the evenings, mornings, afternoons. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. I know the voices dying with the dying fall beneath the music from a farther room. So how should I presume? And I have known the eyes already, known them all. The eyes that fix you in a formulated phrase. And when I am formulated, sprawling on a pin, when I am pinned and wriggling on the wall, then how should I begin to spit out all the buttons of my days and ways? And how should I presume? And I have known the arms already, known them all, arms that are braceleted and white and bare. But in the lamplight, down with light brown hair, is it perfume from a dress that makes me so digress? Arms that lie along a table or wrap about a shawl? And should I then presume? And how should I begin? Shall I say I have gone at dusk through narrow streets and watched the smoke that rises from the pipes of lonely men in shirt sleeves leaning out of windows? I should have been a pair of ragged claws scuttling across the floors of silent seas. And the afternoon, the evening sleeps so peacefully, smoothed by long fingers, asleep, tired, or in malingers, stretched on the floor here beside you and me. Should I, after tea and cakes and ices, have the strength to force the moment to its crisis? But though I have wept and fasted, wept and prayed, though I have seen my head grown slightly bald brought in upon a platter, I am no prophet, and here's no great matter. I have seen the moment of my greatness flicker, and I have seen the eternal footman hold my coat and snicker, and in short I was afraid. And would it have been worth it, after all, after the cups, the marmalade, the tea, among the porcelain, among some talk of you and me, would it have been worth while to have bitten off the matter with a smile, to have squeezed the universe into a ball, to roll it towards some overwhelming question, to say, I am Lazarus, come from the dead, come back to tell you all, I shall tell you all? If one settling a pillow by her head should say, this is not what I meant at all, this is not it at all. And would it have been worth it after all? Would it have been worthwhile, after the sunsets and the dooryards and the sprinkled streets, after the novels, after the teacups, after the skirts that trail along the floor, and this and so much more? It is impossible to say just what I mean. But as if a magic lantern threw the nerves in patterns on a screen, Would it have been worth while if one settling a pillow or throwing off a shawl, and turning toward the window should say, "That is not it at all. That is not what I meant at all. No, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. Am an attendant lord, one that will do to swell a progress, start a scene or two, advise the prince, no doubt, an easy tool, deferential, glad to be of use, politic, cautious, and meticulous, full of high sentence, but a bit obtuse, at times indeed almost ridiculous, almost at times the fool. I grow old, I grow old. I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. Shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare to eat a peach? I shall wear white flannel trousers and walk upon the beach. I have heard the mermaids singing each to each. I do not think they will sing to me. I have seen them riding seaward on the waves, combing the white hair of the waves blown back when the wind blows the water white and black. We have lingered in the chambers of the sea, by seagulls wreathed with seaweed red and brown, till human voices wake us and we drown. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Men I'm Not Married To by Dorothy Parker. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Peter. No matter where my route may lie, no matter whither I repair, in brief, no matter how or why, or when I go, the boys are there. On lane and byways, street and square, on alley, path, and avenue, they seem to spring up everywhere. The men I am not married to. I watch them as they pass me by. At each in wonderment I stare, and, but for heaven's grace, I cry, there goes the guy whose name I'd wear. They represent no species rare. They walk and talk as others do. They're fair to see, but only fair, the men I am not married to. I'm sure that to a mother's eye is each potentially a bear. But though at home they rank ace high, no change of heart could I declare. Yet worry silvers not their hair. They deck them not with sprigs of rue. It's curious how they do not care, the men I am not married to. L'Envoy. In fact, if they'd a chance to share their lot with me, a lifetime through, they'd doubtless tender me the air, the men I am not married to. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Modern House That Jack Built by Anonymous. Read for LibriVox.org by Philip Gould. Behold the mansion reared by Didle Jack. See the malt stored in many a plethoric sack in the proud cirque of Yvonne's bivouac. Mark how the rat's felonious fangs invade the golden stores in John's pavilion laid. Anon, with velvet foot and Tarquin stride, subtle Grimalkin to his quarry glides, Grimalkin grim that slew the fierce rodent whose tooth insidious Johann's sackcloth rent. Lo! Now the deep-mouthed canine foes assault that vex the avenger of the stolen malt, stored in the hallowed precincts of the hall that rose complete at Jack's creative call. Here stalks the impetuous cow with the crumpled horn, whereon the exacerbating hound was torn, who bayed the feline slaughter beast that slew the rat predacious, whose keen fangs ran through the textile fibers that involved the grain that lay in Hans' inviolate domain. Here walks forlorn the damsel crowned with rue, lactiferous spoils from vaccine dugs who drew of that corniculate beast whose tortuous horn tossed to the clouds in fierce vindictive scorn the harrowing hound, whose braggart bark and stir arched the lithe spine and reared the indignant fur of puss, that with verminicidal claw struck the weird rat, in whose insatiate maw lay reeking malt, that erst in Yvonne's courts we saw. robed in senescent garb that seemed in sooth too long a prey to Kronos' iron tooth, behold the man, whose amorous lips incline full with young Eros' osculative sign to the lorn maiden, whose lac albic hands drew albulactic wealth from lacteal glands of the immortal bovine, by whose horn distort to realm ethereal was born the beast Catulian, vexer of that sly Ulysses quadrupedal who made die the old mordacious rat, that dared devour Anticidaneus' ale in John's domestic bower. Lo here with hirsute honours doffed, succinct of saponaceous locks, the priest, who linked in Hymen's golden band the torn unthrift, whose means exiguous stared from many a rift, even as he kissed the virgin all forlorn, who milked the cow with the implicated horn, who in fine wrath the canine torturer skied, that dared to vex the insidious muricide, who let auroral effluence through the pelt of the sly rat that robbed the palace Jack had built. The loud cantankerous Shanghai comes at last, whose shouts aroused the shorn ecclesiast, who sealed the vows of Hymen's sacrament to him who, robed in garments indigent, exosculates the damsel lachrymose, the emulgator of that horned brute morose, that tossed the dog, that worried the cat, that killed the rat, that ate the malt, that lay in the house that Jack built. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Mother Who Died Too by Edith M. Thomas. Read for LibriVox.org by Helen C. Ferrara. She was so little, little in her grave. The wide earth all around so hard and cold. She was so little, therefore did I crave my arms might still her tender form enfold. She was so little, and her cries so weak, when she among the heavenly children came. She was so little, I alone might speak, for her who knew no word, nor her own name. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
My Housemaid by Anonymous. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. My Housemaid. Who, as our Dresden's wreck we scanned, protested with assurance bland, "It come to pieces in my hand." My Housemaid. Who tidies things each Monday morn, and hides, until with search outworn I wish I never had been born. My Housemaid. Who turns my study out that day, and then contrives to pitch away as rubbish, which it is, my play. My Housemaid. Who guards within her jealous care, mending or marking till I swear, the underclothes I long to wear. My Housemaid. Who cultivates a habit most perverse of running to the post, to meet her brothers, such a host. My Housemaid. Who, if she spends her Sundays out at chapel, as she does, no doubt, must be protractedly devout. My Housemaid. Who takes my novels down, it must be, as she vows of course, to dust, and thumbs them, much to my disgust. My Housemaid. Who can't abide a play or ball, but dearly loves a funeral, or Exeter's reproachless hall. My Housemaid. Who, late returning thence, in fits of what she terms histories sits, and this day month my service quits. My Housemaid. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Oberon by Christoph Martin Wieland, 1733 to 1813. Excerpt from Canto II. redforLibriVox.org. Now as o'er all the veil of twilight hung, while slow they wind the haunted shades between, a herd of harts and hinds at once are seen, that in full course before their pathway sprung. Their ceaseless groans like warning strike the ear, and their large eyes overflow with many a tear. So Sherasmin beneath the uncertain light will fain remark, and, sure, that piteous sight seems to proclaim, "O fly, haste, haste, your fate draws near." "Now do you mark," he whispers to the youth, "never again my caution turn to joke. You see it, word for word, the thing I spoke. These beasts you now behold, for certain truth. These beasts that snort in pity of our woe are men, I say, and if you further go, trust me, the goblin lights upon our head. Oh, do not then by obstinacy led, in spite of good advice provoke that potent foe." "How, friend!" our hero cries, "my fixed design spurs me to Baghdad, from the Caliph there to beg for grinders and a lock of hair plucked from his beard. And willst thou, friend of mine, that I should palter from uncertain fear? Thy wits are lost to counsel such career. Who knows, perchance the goblin is my friend, and sure these beasts no mighty ill intend. See how they all are fed when once we venture near," he says, and springs at once among the herd. They vanish in a wink like yielding air. Onward Sir Huon and his leader fare, in silence undisturbed, nor whisper word. The day was sunk, and night advancing throws from nodding poppies dews of soft repose. In sweet forgetfulness all stilly slept, along the wood no mighty murmur crept, all noiseless as the dead whom churchyard graves enclose. The squire no longer can refrain. "Sir knight, if chance I draw you from some vision gay, forgive me, but my weakness must have way. No, I deny it not, at dead of night it ever was my mood from childish year to prattle. All is hushed in silence here, as if great Pan were dead. The iron sound of our good steed rings echoing from the ground, or as he blindly works, the mole would strike the ear. You think I fright myself? Not so, I ween, yet without boasting, sir. For, after all, whate'er we have, mere gifts of heaven I call, and many live, who oft the dead have seen. Set man to man, clash sword and clatter shield, and hack and thrust in tourney and in field. Let 2 or 3 'gainst 5 or 6 contend, I take my part, nor fear how all shall end. There man can trust his arm, and front his foe revealed. Has my foe flesh and blood, I nothing dread. I am his man, but this I freely own. To go at midnight in a church alone, it lifts the hat a little from my head. Grant that my mind should chance to decompose the hag of night that cross my pathway goes. Ah, what avails sharp sword and iron arm against a wicked goblin's whispered charm, while on my shoulders rains a storm of viewless blows? Grant, too, as many an instance makes it clear, that from his body I his noddle hew. Now, while it bleeding rolls before my view, perched on the stump 2 heads for one appear, and oft the impatient body in full flight pursues the head, and ere it spins from sight, pop, puts it on again, quite safe and sound, as if it were a hat just blown to ground. Ah, how can earthly men with such chimeras fight? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ode by Henry Louis Vivian de Rosio. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. From the Persian of Hafiz, freely translated. Say, what's the rose without the smile of her I deem more fair, And what are all the sweets of spring, if wine be wanting there? Oh, who will pause the choice to doubt of walks where music rings, or bowers in richest bloom without the notes the bulbul sings? In vain the cypress waves, in vain 1,000 flowerets sigh, without the cheek whose tint excels the tulip's crimson dye. Yet what are lips where sweetness clings, and cheeks where roses dwell, without the kiss, the joy, the bliss of pleasure's potent spell? The wine and garden both are sweet, but sweetest wine and grove I loathe, if there I cannot meet the face and form I love. The brightest, fairest works of art that skilful hands devise are not without the hand and heart of her I fondest prize. And what's my life? Perhaps a coin, a trifling coin at best, unheeded e'en by passer-by, unfit for bridal guest. March 1826. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ode on Solitude by Alexander Pope. Read for LibriVox.org by Sylvatica. Happy the man whose wish and care a few paternal acres bound, content to breathe his native air in his own ground. Whose herds with milk, whose fields with bread, whose flocks supply him with attire, whose trees in summer yield him shade, in winter fire. Blessed who can unconcernedly find hours, days, and years slide soft away, in health of body, peace of mind, quiet by day, sound sleep by night, study and ease together mixed, sweet recreation and innocence, which most does please with meditation. Thus let me live, unseen, unknown. Thus unlamented let me die. Steal from the world, and not a stone tell where I lie. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
On the Letter I by George Gordon Lord Byron. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. On the Letter I. Written in a lady's scrapbook. I am not in youth, nor in manhood, nor age, but in infancy ever am known. I'm a stranger alike to the fool and the sage, and though I'm distinguished in history's page, I always am greatest alone. I am not in earth, nor the sun, nor the moon. You may search all the sky, I'm not there. In the morning and evening, though not in the noon, you may plainly perceive me, for like a balloon, I am midway suspended in air. I am always in riches, and yet I am told wealth never did my presence desire. I dwell with the miser, but not with his gold, and sometimes I stand in his chimney so cold, though I serve as a part of the fire. I often am met in political life. In my absence no kingdom can be, and they say there can neither be friendship nor strife. No one can live single, no one take a wife, without interfering with me. My brethren are many, and of my whole race not one is more slender and tall, and though not the eldest, I hold the first place, and even in dishonour, despair, and disgrace, I boldly appear 'mong them all. Though disease may possess me, and sickness and pain, I am never in sorrow or gloom. Though in wit and in wisdom I equally reign, I'm the heart of all sin, and have long lived in vain, yet I never shall be found in the tomb. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
On the Wedding of the Aeronaut by Ambrose Bierce. Read for LibriVox.org by Ian King. Aeronaut, you're fairly caught, despite your bubble's leaven. Out of the skies, a lady's eyes have brought you down to heaven. No more, no more, you'll freely soar above the grass and gravel. Henceforth you'll walk, and she will chalk the line that you're to travel. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Paul to Timothy by Robert W. Norwood. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. The long day ends at last, O Timothy, and I, Paul, prisoner of Jesus Christ, wait for the dark. Upon my window ledge a sparrow twitters, pecks at the iron bars as though to set me free this night of Rome. A lad is singing somewhere in the street. His voice, careless and free, recalls Cilicia, Tarsus, my city where the Cydnus flows, recalls those first far days when in my heart no pain had found a place, and I was Saul, named for the son of Kish, a Benjamite. How swiftly age turns back the gate of time, and with what eager pace pursues the path trod by the feet of childhood. I can see the scarlet-prowed Phoenician ships, triremes down from the Tiber, and Egyptian barges, abundant fruitage of the date and palm. Tall Bacchic amphora and perfumed bales of Tyrian purple stand along the quay. And I can hear the sailors in their songs, the strange brown mariners of many seas, with arms like anchor cables in their strength. Oh, then I was a wanderer of earth, and dreamed of brave adventure in far lands. They say the Hebrew burning in my blood closed all life's doors save one upon the world. That I, the Pharisee of Pharisees, contemned the beauty and the song of Greece. How little do they know, my Timothy, my dear disciple, and my bosom friend, heart, soul, feet, hands, eyes, ears, and lips of Paul, how little do they know. Tomorrow morn, without the city wall, I shall kneel down before the Roman sword and die. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, the lad still sings. Would thou could hear his song. Anacreon? Nay, Sappho. He, Athenian, I think. 'Tis such a voice as that which Eunice heard, son of the faith once and for all delivered, oft in the streets of Lystra's eventide, telling of Timothy returning home. Or ever thou didst follow Christ and Paul. Why doth he sing, and hail me back to life who on the morn must die? And Sappho's song, flee from this wicked world ordained to death. The wrath of God is kindled in the sky, and Babylon shall be consumed in smoke. How all the gold has gone from out the west, 'tis crimson now, and on the Forum falls a menace as of blood. O Babylon, the cup of thine iniquity is full, and runneth over even to the ground. Still doth he sing, and always Sappho's song. O Greece, the tongue of Homer and of Paul is in that song. Behold, the sound thereof goes forth unto the ends of all the world, and neither speech nor language shall prevail upon its magic and its mastery. How little do they know, son Timothy, of Paul, the prisoner of Jesus Christ, a Pharisee, yea, straitest of that sect, learned in the law, I, from Gamaliel, and persecutor of the church of God, Saul, who consented unto Stephen's death. Aha, woe is me! Yet little do they know, who know not this, the law of sin and death is done away in Christ, by whom all things are sanctified, and neither Jew nor Greek, and neither bond nor free exist in him, who is the first begotten Son of God, the keystone of life's slow ascending arch, and who completeth all things in himself. Nathless I found this truth not easily. In those far boyhood days beside the Cydnus, watching the sailors in the ships, I felt shame of my passion for the many tones and tinctures of the colored sails and prows, shame of the tumult in my heart at songs sung by the boatmen. For the law is hard, and presseth with a heavy hand upon youth and the innocent delights of youth. Young Rabbi Saul, the thunderer, and Saul consenting unto Stephen's death, are dead, slain by the piercing of the cross of Christ, Christ of the lilies, he who loved the fields and heard the children in the marketplace complaining at the unresponsive feet, and ears deaf to their piping and sweet song. Doth he know my lads singing in the street, my young Athenian whose voice for Paul breathes Ave atque vale on the world? Christ is not quickly learned, and gradual is the progression of a soul to him. Hard strove I through the barriers of thought, and one by one dissolved the old ideas that misted o'er the mountains of desire, before I found that all things beautiful, like lilies of the open field, are spread beneath the benediction of his love. Write this again: there is no bond nor free. There is the faith, and this is Jesus Christ, the Savior of the world. Think what it means, O Timothy, this faith thou hast received, to give and guard at Ephesus. Let fall distinctions from henceforth to keep in one the diverse aspirations of mankind. Jerusalem and Alexandria, Rome, Athens, Corinth, and Iconium, Moses and Socrates, Plato and Paul, Isaiah, Homer, and Euripides, Bezaleel and thine own Phidias, David and Sappho, all are in his heart. The feet of him who bears that letter speed, as sped by Dipides. All inspired Scripture is given of God, for nothing beautiful lives but by breathing of the Holy Ghost. Force is of Satan. Art the child of God? And they who, like this foredoomed Babylon, build citadels cemented by men's blood, are numbered with the damned. Do I not know? Am I not Paul, the prisoner of Christ? Creators of sweet sounds and lovely forms care not for Babylon. They seek the hills, and know God in the thunders of the seas. They find him where pomegranate and the pine are passionate with pleading of all souls that are with dross of earth unsatisfied. This have I learned from the Athenian who sings the song of Sappho unto Paul. Gone are the gold and scarlet from the west. Night falls, and Rome is like the galaxy, indefinite with stars. A myriad of tiny flames are flaring on the hills, and in those evening fires the souls of men are manifested, souls that upward burn in emulation of the beautiful. For the invisible pure things of him from the creation of the world are seen and understood by what is made. One God, one law, one hope, one faith, and one desire, and in the impulse of creative hands, and on the lips that sing, as sings the lad to Paul, the prisoner, great Sappho's song. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Pulley by George Herbert, read for LibriVox.org by Tom Cooper, 18 May 2018. When God at first made man, having a glass of blessing standing by, let us, said he, pour on him all we can. Let the world's riches, which dispersed lie, contract into a span. So strength first made a way, then beauty flowed, then wisdom, honor, pleasure. When almost all was out, God made a stay, perceiving that alone of all his treasure rest in the bottom lay. For if I should, said he, bestow this jewel also on my creature, he would adore my gifts instead of me, and rest in nature, not the God of nature. So both should losers be. Yet let him keep the rest, but keep them with repining restlessness. Let him be rich and weary, that at least, if goodness lead him not, yet weariness may toss him to my breast. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sappho by Henry Louis Vivian de Rosio. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. And love too much, and yet cannot love less. Don Juan, Canto IV. Her love was like the raging of a storm, sweeping all things before it, and her song was like her soul of passion, wild and warm. She could not brook a slight or suffer wrong, and when her heart the treacherous wound received from him who should have sheltered her from harm, and soothed her every sorrow when she grieved, oh, how the gushing blood did inly flow! Oh, how she wept his falsehood and her woe! Hers was melodious mourning. Like the dew her bright tears fell, for madness made her weep. Too soon her golden-winged pleasures flew. Too soon she sank into a slumber deep. Lo, high Leucadia now can tell where she doth sleep. May 1827. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sea Fever by John Masefield. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. I must down to the seas again, to the lonely sea and the sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by, and the wheels kick and the wind's song and the white sails shaking, and a grey mist on the sea's face and a grey dawn breaking. I must down to the seas again, for the call of the running tide is a wild call and a clear call that may not be denied, and all I ask is a windy day with the white clouds flying, and the flung spray and the blown spume and the sea-gulls crying. I must down to the seas again, to the vagrant gypsy life, to the gull's way and the whale's way, where the wind's like a whetted knife, and all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, and quiet sleep and a sweet dream when the long trick's over. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Selfsame Song by Thomas Hardy. Read for LibriVox.org by Peter Thomlinson. A bird sings the selfsame song, with never a fault in its flow, that we listened to hear those long, long years ago. A pleasing marvel is how a strain of such rapturous rote should have gone on thus till now, unchanged in a note. But it's not the selfsame bird, no, perished to dust is he, as also are those who heard that song with me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sonnet 21. Petrarch congratulates Boccaccio on his return to the right path, by Francesco Petrarch, 1304 to 1374. Read for LibriVox.org. Love grieved, and I with him at times, to see by what strange practices and cunning art he still continued from his fetters free, from whom my feet were never far apart. Since to the right way brought by God's decree, lifting my hands to heaven with pious heart, I thank him for his love and grace, for he the sole prayer of the just will never thwart. And if, returning to the amorous strife, its fair desire to teach us to deny, hollows and hillocks in thy path abound, 'tis but to prove to us, with thorns how rife, the narrow way, the ascent how hard and high, where with true virtue man at last is crowned. Translated by MacGregor. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Spring Storm by William Carlos Williams. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. The sky has given over its bitterness. Out of the dark change all day long rain falls and falls, as if it would never end. Still the snow keeps its hold on the ground. But water, water from 1,000 runnels. It collects swiftly, dappled with black, cuts a way for itself through green ice in the gutters. Drop after drop it falls from the withered grass stems of the overhanging embankment. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Theatre Scrubwoman Dreams a Dream by Samuel Hoffenstein. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Peter. When morning mingles with the gloom on empty stage and twilit aisle, she comes with rag and pan and broom to work and dream a while. Illusion's laughter, fancy's tears, the mimic loves of yesternight, on empty stages of the years, awake in the dim light. She cannot sweep the phantoms out. How sweet the sobbing violin! She cannot put the ghosts to rout. How pale the heroine! Oh, valiant hero, sorely tired, 'tis only dust that fills her eyes. But he shall have his lovely bride, and she her paradise. And she, the broom falls from her hands, and is it dust that fills her eyes? Shall go with him to golden lands, and find her paradise. The morning wrestles with the gloom, on silent stage and chilly aisle. She takes her rag and pan and broom to work and dream a while. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
There Will Come Soft Rains from Flame and Shadow by Sarah Teasdale. Read for LibriVox.org by Paddy Finnegan. There will come soft rains, and the smell of the ground, and swallows circling with their shimmering sound, and frogs in the pools singing at night, and wild plum trees in tremulous white. Robins will bear their feathery fire, whistling their whims on a low fence wire. And not one will know of the war. Not one will care at last when it is done. Not one would mind, neither bird nor tree, if mankind perished utterly. And spring herself, when she woke at dawn, would scarcely know that we were gone. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
They by Siegfried Sassoon, read for LibriVox.org by Helen Z. Ferrara. The bishop tells us when the boys come back, they will not be the same, for they'll have fought in a just cause. They lead the last attack on Antichrist. Their comrades' blood has bought new right to breed an honorable race. They have challenged death and dared him face to face. We're none of us the same, the boys reply, for George lost both his legs and Bill's stone blind. Poor Jim shot through the lungs and like to die. And Bert's gone septic. You'll not find a chap who served that hasn't found some change. And the bishop said, the ways of God are strange. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
They All Want to Play Hamlet by Carl Sandburg. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston, Tharp. They all want to play Hamlet. They have not exactly seen their fathers killed, or their mothers in a frame-up to kill, nor an Ophelia dying with a dust gagging the heart. Not exactly the spinning circles of singing golden spiders. Not exactly of this they got at, nor the meaning of flowers. Oh, flowers! Flowers slung by a dancing girl, in the saddest play the inkfish Shakespeare ever wrote. Yet they all want to play Hamlet because it is sad, like all actors are sad, and to stand by an open grave with a joker's skull in the hand, and then to say over slow and say over slow, wise, keen, beautiful words, masking a heart that's breaking, breaking. This is something that calls and calls to their blood. They are acting when they talk about it, and they know it is acting to be particular about it, and yet they all want to play Hamlet. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To a Snowflake by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. What heart could have thought you, past our devisal, O filigree petal, fashioned so purely, fragilely, surely, from what paradisal, imagineless metal, too costly for cost, who hammered you, wrought you, from argentine vapour. God was my shaper. Passing surmisal, he hammered, he wrought me, from curled silver vapour, to lust of his mind. Thou couldst not have thought me, so purely, so palely, tinily, surely, mightily, frailly, insculped and embossed, with his hammer of wind, and his graver of frost. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To the Dog Star by Henry Louis Vivian de Rosio. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. How the Chaldean watched thee, brightest star, brightest and loveliest in the vault of heaven. There dost thou shine, and shine like hope afar, and at the soft, sweet, silent hour of even, while airy spirits breathing fragrance fly, and fan my temples with their odorous wings, thy trembling light to watch and worship, I go forth. This to my heart such rapture brings as never may be told. Thy lovely light, eternal Sirius, calls one dear to mind. For oh, her form was beautiful and bright, and, like thy ray, her soul was most refined, and made for tenderness and purest love. Then smile on her, bright star, smile sweetly from above. April 1827. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To the Thawing Wind by Robert Frost. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. Come with rain, O loud southwester, bring the singer, bring the nester, give the buried flower a dream, make the settled snowbank steam, find the brown beneath the white, but whate'er you do tonight, bathe my window, make it flow, melt it as the ice will go, melt the glass and leave the sticks, like a hermit's crucifix, burst into my narrow stall, swing the picture on the wall, run the rattling pages o'er, scatter poems on the floor, turn the poet out of door. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ulysses by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Read for LibriVox.org by Farnood Jahangir. It little profits that an idle king By this still hearth, among these barren crags, matched with an aged wife, I meet and dole unequal laws unto a savage race, that hoard and sleep and feed and know not me. I cannot rest from travel, I will drink life to the less. All times I have enjoyed greatly, have suffered greatly, both with those that loved me and alone, on shore and when, through scudding drifts, the rainy Hades, vexed the dim sea, I am become a name, for always roaming with a hungry heart. Much have I seen and known, cities of men, and manners, climates, councils, governments, myself not least, but honoured of them all, and drank delight of battle with my peers, far on the ringing plains of windy Troy. I am a part of all that I have met, yet all experience is an arch wherethrough gleams that untravelled world whose margin fades for ever and for ever when I move. How dull it is to pause, to make an end, to rust and burnish, not to shine in use. As though to breathe were life, life piled on life, were all too little, and of one to me. Little remains, but every hour is saved from that eternal silence something more, a bringer of new things, and while it were for some 3 suns to store and hoard myself, and this grey spirit yearning in desire, to follow knowledge like a sinking star, beyond the utmost bound of human thought. This is my son, my non Telemachus, to whom I leave the sceptre and the isle, well loved of me, discerning to fulfil this labour, by a slow prudence to make mild a rugged people, and through soft degrees subdue them to the useful and the good. Most blameless is he, centred in the sphere of common duties, descends not to fail in offices of tenderness, and pay meet adoration to my household gods. When I am gone, he works his work, I mine. There lies the port, the vessel puffs her sail, there gloom the dark, broad seas. My mariners, souls that have toiled and wrought and thought with me, that ever with a frolic welcome took the thunder and the sunshine, and opposed free hearts, free foreheads. You and I are old. Old age hath yet his honour and his toil. Death closes all, but something ere the end, some work of noble note may yet be done, not unbecoming men that strove with gods. The lights begin to twinkle from the rocks, the long day wanes, the slow moon climbs, the deep moans round with many voices. Come, my friends, 'tis not too late to seek a newer world. Push off, and sitting well in order, smite the sounding furrows, for my purpose holds to sail beyond the sunset and the baths of all the western stars until I die. It may be that the gods will wash us down, it may be we shall touch the happy Arts, and see the great Achilles whom we knew. Though much is taken, much abides, and though we are not now the strengths which in old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are, we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Under the Stars by J.R. Wilkinson, read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. I arise sometimes in the night time, and go out 'neath the stars alone, in the dim silence of night time, when the skies are tender of tone. In the holy silence of nature I calm my anxious soul, sometimes by the hard day grown weary, and beyond my will to control. And I go where the waves' low murmur soundeth ever along the dim shore, and I'm soothed by the voice of the waters. And peace cometh unto me once more, when the winds are caressing the roses, and there stealeth an answering sigh from the dew bespangled foliage to the wanderer passing by. I stand on the bridge of the streamlet, where we met in the long ago, where we met, and where we two parted in the twilight's silvery glow. I listen again for her coming. though 'tis only an empty dream. All I hear is the night wind sighing, and the rippling of the stream. Then I pass where the vale is sleeping o'er the emerald moonlit hill, and gain the awesome shadows of the forest deep and still. And through the still gloom and the distance I hear the faint far off call of elfin and strange phantom voices. On my ear they dreamily fall. O holy silence of nature! I am calmed with a pure delight. Hush! For man's voice would not mar the harmony of the night. All sinless planets are glowing, penetrating the vast far voids of the mystery of creation. Beyond the lone asteroids subdued, and again submissive to what errs in store for me, I strive to be uncomplaining. Though beset with adversity, and thus when the spirit is weary, my strength kindly nature restores. Through her vast illimitable chamber my calm soul in ecstasy soars. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The War of Bread by Edith M. Thomas, read for LibriVox.org by Helen Z. Ferrara. There shall be no unwarranted manipulation of the nation's food supply by those who handle it on the way to the consumer. President Wilson, 1917. Of all the wars that waste this world, where the life of man has bled, this is the war I most abhor, the theft of the people's bread. They who hold back what the kind earth gave in the billowing fields of grain are the cowardice foe, for their secret blow strikes for their own base gain. Arm of the law, reach forth in your might, and the hidden stores unbind, and defeat their power who, at this hour, wage dastardly war on their kind. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Woman in Winter Costume by John Gould Fletcher, read for LibriVox.org by Richard Scott. She is like the great rains that fall over the earth in winter time. Wave on wave her heavy robes collapse in green torrents lashed with slaty foam. Downward the sun strikes amid them and enkindles a lone flower, a violet iris standing yet in seething pools of gray. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.